Guys.
Hey! Hey, boys!
Good to see you again.
Great to be with you guys.
How are we doing today, Aki?
We are doing really well because today is
Tell us.
Romeo Day.
Romeo Day, and every day is Romeo Day.
There you go. Someone's going to shoot us one day.
It never gets old. Oh, yes, it does.
So,
Okay, guys.
what are we talking about?
What are we talking about? You know, I thought it might be interesting for us to talk about whether or not a university education is worthwhile pursuing.
Nice.
You guys okay with that?
Let's go for it.
Let's go for it.
The answer is,
Dominic?
it depends.
Envelope, please.
Well, I think, yeah, I mean, it's not a bad thing. However, what I used to tell my daughters, get a university education, but not necessarily work in what you studied. Then you can figure it out. But I think, you know.
So get an education and
Get
then
an education.
and then figure out what you want to do for a living.
Exactly.
Okay.
You know, if you study engineering and then you want to do, be a plumber, do that. But get a university education, the experience, the fact that you have to be disciplined, that you have to organize yourself. Those are all good things. But today, is it really necessary? Not as much.
So let's put it in context. You say your daughters. Your daughters are still relatively young.
Yeah.
So what has changed from the time your daughters attended university to today, if anything?
Well, I mean, the internet is far more populated. You know, you can learn anything you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, today, universities, everybody is at home taking online courses, basically.
But your kids would have attended university, what, 10 years ago?
Oh, 15?
15.
Yeah, 12 to 15 years ago.
Okay. So quite a bit has changed since.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, today, you want to learn anything. I mean, we do it ourselves here. Look at you two. You're Steven Spielberg's, just by...
We are?
yeah,
Okay.
just by,
Just our video editing skills, I guess.
Exactly. Exactly. So,
Our IT department.
yeah.
There you go.
I mean,
Well, anything's learnable. I mean, to your point, absolutely. Online, the tools that are online right now, go onto YouTube and, you want to learn anything almost, it's available. But, to a point. So, I mean, if it's my turn, as it were, to answer the question, I think the advice that I gave my kids was definitely get a university degree if you can, if university is for you, because one of my kids, it wasn't for her, and she tried, or she went and she just didn't like it. She decided to be more of an entrepreneur. That was her thing, and that's what she does now. Is she runs multiple things at the same time, and she's doing her own thing, which is fine. When it came to the boys, my advice to them with school was, whatever you do the hardest thing that you can do. Whatever you can achieve from a schooling perspective, just do the hardest thing. Don't do the easiest thing. So if you have the capability to do something that's in the sciences, do that. Just stretch yourself, I guess was the advice, because it's going to be the support or the benefit back to you is typically aligned to the amount of effort you put into getting something, typically. So the more effort you put into getting a degree, the more difficult that degree is to get, whether it's medical, obviously to be a doctor, medicine, lawyer, engineering, sciences, maths, all of these things. These are, in my view anyway, more difficult to get. And for me, that was the stuff that I said, hey, just push yourself to get those degrees. Now, I got pushed back from my kids and so on. We can discuss that later, but that was my advice to the kids.
And so your position today is?
My position is that I still agree with that position.
So it's
today.
worthwhile.
I definitely think it's worthwhile because it's something no one can take away from you in the future. It's a piece of paper. Some people will argue it's just a piece of paper. It doesn't really mean anything. But in the end, in this world still, especially when it comes to anything that has to do with scientific or engineering or anything technical.
So the STEM disciplines.
The STEM disciplines, they're not going to even look at you. And a lot of the STEM disciplines, especially on the R&D side, they won't even look at you unless you have a master's.
So do you think that only the STEM disciplines are worthwhile pursuing a university education for, or would you extend that to a broader set of disciplines?
I'd say a broader set, but so it depends what the reason is. It depends on what the question is. Do you want to? Is it career based? Are you just looking at it as a career based, or are you looking at it to expand yourself as a human being? If you're looking to expand yourself as a human being, do whatever you actually want to learn. That's fine, but don't expect now that you're going to have a high powered job, on Wall Street or whatever in some sort of STEM discipline, unless you teach yourself. I mean, a lot of people have a bachelor's degree in liberal arts or whatever, but they know how to code because they liked it, they learned it, they did it themselves. They have a bachelor's, but then they went and they got a job and they're earning a great living, writing code for people. That's also possible. That's a path. But if it's with the sole express purpose of getting a decent paying job, if that's what you want out of a university education, then I would push towards the STEM side.
Yeah, I would just push back because coding is perhaps an anomaly, at least in my mind. And the reason I say that is the coding skills you would acquire attending university are outdated by the time you attend university, let alone graduate from university. So regardless of what your background is, if your brain is wired a certain way whereby you can learn coding, then you can enjoy a very, very comfortable life in that particular area. But I can't think of too many other disciplines where that's true.
Well, that's why I went to that, because that's the only one that I know of where you can kind of teach yourself.
So we're of the same mind in that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I don't think university is the gold standard anymore. I think that, and for us in North America,
in what sense? Gold standard for jobs or for knowledge,
for the absolute must do university education in order to be able to have a lucrative or a successful career path. I don't think that applies anymore. I think that we see right now, and I can understand why, and I hope more families are also giving consideration to the vocations. I think that vocational training and vocational skills,
so electrician, plumbing,
builders,
bricklayers,
masons, exactly, right? So we all, I think I can safely say that I assume that when we were growing up, I mean, the guidance that we got from our families was university. You have to go to university. There's no other. I mean, university. That was what was drilled into us. And as a society in North America, the vocations have always been considered, we've considered them to be second class. And I think we've reached a point right now in our economy where we see the huge demand for talent, in the trades. And we're not anywhere near, meeting that demand. And we're still programmed to encourage our kids, get a university education. And I think we have to have a much broader conversation. Absolutely, I think I see the value of a university education in terms of being a well-rounded person. But in terms of career and professionalism, no, I don't think the only path is through universities.
I don't see it the way you do. I don't see the well-rounded aspect of education for people who are attending and even graduating from university these days, and that's been true for probably the better part of a generation, from my perspective. So I think that I'm going to take a step back before answering the question I asked you guys, which is to ask myself, what is the purpose of a university education?
So that's what I kind of asked as well.
And so I think that historically, university was a worthwhile pursuit in that it helped individuals develop a number of habits and skills that would serve them well throughout their lives. I also think that depending on the chosen discipline of study, chosen area of study, that it would provide them with an ability to apply knowledge and skill that be acquired over the course of X number of years, whether it's an undergraduate, graduate, or postgraduate degree, in order to spend the bulk of their adult lives, certainly the working portion of their adult lives, earning a good living, being able to support themselves and support their families, and hopefully gain some satisfaction from those efforts and from those activities. Going back to a generation where we all attended university, I began to observe that a lot of people attended school not because They saw it as a worthwhile pursuit to enjoy a higher quality of life post-graduation, but because it delayed the transition into the stage of adulthood where you have to support yourself and become self-sufficient.
Really?
Yeah. And I would say that that trend has been accentuated in the time since we attended school, to the point where by the time my kids either attended or thought about attending university, attitudes had changed to the point, the pendulum had swung to the point where, most kids their ages were taking longer to get into university because they were taking reduced course loads. Once admitted to university, they were taking reduced course loads. The whole attitude is, what's the rush? What's the rush? And many of their parents were very supportive and echoing, what's the rush? Let them take their time. I don't want them to be under too much stress, under too much pressure. Life is difficult. Life is long.
Coddled.
There's ample coddled.
Yeah, but I see the other side of that.
So I'm not saying I haven't seen the other side of it. I'm talking about what I see as a general trend. And with that, I saw a growing number of people attending university and signing up to programs that were going to provide absolutely nothing concrete or tangible when it became time for them to enter the workforce.
Right.
In other words, the knowledge and skill that they acquired in pursuit of their university degree was not a knowledge or skill level that translated into meaningful work in that particular discipline and an opportunity to do what I said earlier, which is to support yourself and a family and so on.
So Victorian basket weaving.
Well, perhaps not to that extent, but with all due respect to history majors, anyone today who's getting a degree in many of the arts end up working as waiters, waitresses, and in some discipline other than what they studied.
Right.
And I think that those people would be much better served pursuing vocational endeavors.
To Aki's point.
To Aki's point.
Right.
So electricians, plumbers, carpenters, we are in desperate need of. And by the way, these people earn a very good living. So I'm now going to circle all the way back to answering the question, is a university degree worthwhile pursuing? It depends.
Yeah, but so we said from the beginning, it depends on, do you want that university degree in order to get a job, or do you want it in order to expand your knowledge? Now, some people, and actually, now that I think about it, it kind of fits your notion of people being coddled, because in my day anyway, especially in my circumstance, getting a university degree was all about getting a job. That's what I mean. It was the only thing. It was the path to a decent job where I, because immigrant kid, whatever. You just wanted to have a better living, better life. For people who have the choice now, or feel that they've led, or the lives that they lead, their parents are wealthy enough, or with the life that they've led to that point, they can just follow their. I feel like learning a little bit more about this, or I want to learn more about this topic. I like history. I like literature. I like, the fine arts. I want to learn how to paint. I want to take acting, as a study point in certain schools. I think the mentality is that of a coddled mentality in a sense, because if the only goal, if you feel as an individual, I need to get a job, then you start thinking about, okay, well, what university degree should I get? What am I suited for? Am I good in math? Am I good in sciences? If I'm not, is there something else I can do that I can, still get that education, still pass the courses, and still get a decent job because I need to get that job? Or do I go into the vocational sciences and, learn carpentry or whatever, all these things, mechanic, all these different things, again, to get a decent job? If you don't have that mentality about getting a job, which I think a lot of people do these days because they seem to be coddled, and then you can take any course and it doesn't matter because you're just wasting your time in a sense.
Yeah, nobody should waste their time.
But work-wise, I mean,
right? Life isn't so long that we should encourage people to do things that are wasteful.
Well, work-wise, waste your time. Maybe to that individual, they want to expand their horizon.
What you're saying there, Ron, is that the only university degrees worth getting is the ones that give you a profession at the end. Study architecture, you're an architect. Study accounting, you're an accountant.
Yep.
You
Exactly.
study Victorian literature.
You're unemployed.
You're a scholar.
You're a barista.
Exactly.
No, I mean,
Yeah, so I disagree because
You disagree?
well, yes, I do disagree.
you just shit all over history majors.
I didn't shit over them. I pointed out that, you know what, if you want to pursue a history degree, be my guest.
Right.
But don't be surprised when you get your undergraduate degree that you can't find a job in that particular discipline.
Well, most history majors go on into law. They go on into other
no,
disciplines.
they don't.
Yes, they do.
No, most do not. Statistically, most history majors get an undergrad degree and then go work in a different field.
What about becoming like an insightful human being and understanding history and understanding how society works? That has no value. That doesn't feed into being like a good lawyer or being a good manager.
You can't be a good lawyer unless you have a law degree.
Exactly.
No, I'm sorry. I mean, even when you apply for law school.
Whoa. How do you become a lawyer without having a law degree?
That's not my point. My point is the road to a law degree means that you have to have, the ability to analyze. You have to have a sense of society. As a lawyer, you're going to be dealing, especially in this day and age, with such a wide array of issues and cases. You need to have the background. You need to bring some context.
If you're telling me that individuals are pursuing history with a longer-term plan to then apply to law school and become lawyers.
If you guys, if the conclusion here
I don't think the person who graduates from university with a law degree says, I'm a history major. No, I'm a lawyer.
Well, you don't know. I know some good lawyers who did come up through the liberal arts, but
do they identify as lawyers?
But the point is that their whole professional success is based on the base that they have and the base that they can draw on.
So you're extending that a little bit. So I'll agree with you to a point, right? Yes, it does, expand your mind and whatever, but really...
It's not just about expanding your mind. It's about understanding how we got here. It's understanding the forces in society.
That's irrelevant.
Well, of course, spoken like, I'm sorry, just business people, capitalists. I mean, it all just... If it's not around finance, then it's all the dark land. It's not very relevant.
First of all,
so hang on.
Do you call him business person? He's an engineer.
Oh, so he's not a business person.
No, I'm saying he's an engineer.
Yes, he is.
Ish.
Right? And an MBA.
I'm not targeting Nuran. I'm not targeting Nuran.
So he went down. Well, no, you just said around the table, business people.
Business people, right. But okay, here's my what I'm asking you is, and I think you were going to that. Do you think that liberal arts have no value and should not be a part of higher education?
No, they should. Sorry.
What Pat said, study whatever you want. But don't have expectations that at the end, we have to give you a job, we have to give you this. No,
nobody has any expectations. You have to work for it.
So remember,
you have to work for it.
So the stuff that what I was saying as well, and I think a little bit of what you're saying is, if your expectation is to get a job in a field that you're studying in, then that field has to be something that's recognized or required in society.
But there are different pathways to that.
And valued.
And valued.
And valued.
Okay,
there are different pathways to that.
Right. So I get what you're saying. You can get a bachelor's degree in fine arts, and then you can even go to medical school.
Exactly.
Depending on your aptitude and your ability.
Exactly. And your intelligence.
And your intelligence. Yes. So these things are possible, and I'm sure you can point out a handful or a few.
That is not the path.
That's not the typical path.
Most doctors pursue.
Pat, I agree.
You can't get into medical school. Guess what? You're going to get a degree in biology or in some other science as a pathway into being accepted into medical school.
But his example for law school, for example, yes, you can get into law school with a history, with a bachelor's, and any bachelor's degree you can apply to law school.
I'm going to argue vigorously that most of the people who are following that path are doing so because, you know what, I didn't get accepted into law school.
I'm not disagreeing.
I'm going to do an undergrad. I'm going to apply myself and get the grades that are going to translate into my being accepted into law school.
Yes, I agree.
It'll be nice for me to have a degree in history to be well-rounded, and then I will pursue some other path.
The majority of people who get accepted into law school come from an undergraduate program. There's very few people. It's a very small, tiny minority that get accepted directly into law school after your high school.
Right.
Right. So the majority of people are...
It's like medical school.
They go through different undergraduate channels.
Right.
Political science,
because they have
history.
Because they have to.
Well, that's it. Everybody has to. It's not.
No, not everybody.
Yes, it's not practice. It's not academic practice for law schools to accept students from directly from high school.
No, wait a second.
We don't come to blows here.
No.
You just finished saying, and then you contradicted yourself, that very few people get accepted into law school.
What I am saying...
No, wait a second.
No, you're not. You didn't understand what I'm saying.
Okay, so tell me what you're saying.
What I am saying is the vast majority of successful law school applicants come with an undergraduate degree.
People who want to pursue law apply into law.
You guys are both...
The majority are not accepted.
Correct.
Therefore, they have to pursue some other path prior to reapplying to law school.
I think what you're doing is you're completely just
so you're emphasizing the bachelor's and you're
pushing aside the legitimate paths that students take, which is to get an undergraduate degree because they recognize, they see the law. Fortunately, they see the law as being a bigger entity than just legal terms and legal principles. It's supposed to reflect an understanding of society at large.
Okay, so you're focusing on the bachelor's, you're focusing in on the degree. Let's agree to disagree. Like I said, there's going to be a percentage of folks who are going to be more inclined to get more out of their bachelor's degree while going for a law degree.
The point is that for all the people who are not accepted first time into law school,
they need a bachelor's
and take another path.
Yeah, they need to get a bachelor's school.
If they stop after obtaining their undergrad in whatever arts domain you choose, they're not people who are generally employable in that particular discipline. Yeah, they're not.
Or they'll go to police tech, for example, and
so they do something else.
Okay, so look, all I'm saying is that no, people do not. You don't have a high proportion of law school applicants whose first step is right after high school, right after college, apply to law school. You have the majority of them do recognize the value of having a wider level of education.
And I'm disagreeing with you. They don't recognize the higher value. There's no option but for them to gain an undergrad in another discipline.
So that's the point that you guys are disagreeing on.
We disagree.
So some people will think like you that say, this is a great idea. I can now get 3 years.
I'll use you as an example, and then someone else I know is another example of where there's a path that people follow that is perfectly logical.
What's that?
So you studied engineering.
I did.
And upon obtaining your engineering degree, you sought an MBA.
Correct.
Right? That combination is lethal. Good for you. I know somebody else who pursued an engineering degree and then pursued a law degree. Why? Because she wanted to practice patent law. Perfect. And that was a lethal combination.
Definitely.
Lethal. That to me makes perfect sense. Somebody who's really looking at the world and understanding where the opportunities are, saying, I have the potential to pursue this avenue.
Yep.
And I do so in a logical manner. And when I come out of it, I'm enjoying myself. I'm highly employable. I'm going to enjoy a comfortable life.
Yep, definitely.
Right?
I think there's only very few people that will do that undergraduate to get to law school. It's more like path. They're not accepted in law school, so they need to do something else. Nobody, who wants to waste an extra 3 years, 4 years?
But the same is true in medicine and frankly, in other fields where the admissions are so low, right? Only the cream of the crop get accepted first time.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if I'm persistent, I have the potential, but I don't have the grades to get into medical school. I'm not going to say, so sad, I'm going to have to pursue. No, those people say, you know what, I'm going to pursue a biology. I'm going to stay in the sciences. I'm going to get a degree as a stepping stone, and I'm going to work my ass off and get grades where they won't be able to deny me access to medical school. That's how it works.
That's why a lot of pharmacists have biochemistry undergraduates.
Right, absolutely.
Because they were not accepted right off the bat.
Right.
So they went to do
another excellent example.
Exactly.
Okay, so we agree to disagree. I mean, the liberal arts are not, for a lot of people, they're not a fallback position.
So the only question, I guess the main question that I have, because I'm not disagreeing with you as a knowledge base, but when you go into that, into those degrees, are you going with the mindset of getting a job, or are you going with the mindset of I want to expand my knowledge in this area because I think it's interesting? Or are you doing it because, hey, my parents want me to go to school or my friends are going to school and I just want to hang out with them. Let me get the easiest degree I can get where I don't have to really apply myself and still get a piece of paper after 3 years.
You have it all of the above.
Right. So which one of those three options that I gave you applies to most people? And
most people, it's about an interest, a passion for a particular field of
completely
study.
disagree.
I don't think so.
Completely disagree. So
Well, why do you disagree? On what grounds?
not that I've done a wide study.
No, I mean,
of
we're talking about
all the
studies.
people, of all the people I know,
Right.
and there are many,
Right.
who have pursued a degree in the arts, or whose kids have pursued a degree in the arts, those people today are all lamenting the fact that they can't get a frickin' good paying job.
I want to hear from those kids.
Right?
I want to hear from
all
those
of them. All of them.
arts
They
graduates.
have lots of time to write to us.
Let's hear from our. I'd like to hear from our viewers. I'd like to hear from families who've had that experience, because I completely disagree. I'm not saying that that doesn't. That there,
The
there is
vast
that
majority.
profile. There is that profile.
And that's why, and today, the vast majority of young people attending university are enrolled in what programs?
Well, the easier ones.
And the easier ones are programs that are not going to lead
That's
to
my
great
point.
employment
Oh, that's
opportunities.
so-
And that's why I say that those people are not going to be well served pursuing a university education.
Again, depending on what the end goal was. That's why I always
All
say
the knowledge those people are acquiring in university
you can get on YouTube.
can be acquired today outside. So don't tell me it's the pursuit of knowledge, because today there are too many options available to you. You do not need a university
you don't learn about
education.
leadership, on YouTube. You don't learn about
You don't learn about leadership in a history class.
You don't learn. Yes, well, it's a university education by being in a
No.
class, with peers and having debates and having critical thinking. That doesn't develop anything?
Peers who, like yourself, are there because
you're-
they see an opportunity to delay getting into the workforce
you're
and
just being a
transition.
snob. You're just being a snob. You're being
Absolutely
a snob.
not.
You're a
Look,
total intellectual snob.
Being an accountant, it's a
not-
perfect example, because to be, let's say you want to work, in a big firm, audit firm, you need that accounting degree.
Right.
Nobody's going to hire you, and you need that accounting designation.
Yeah.
Or else so some degrees are just necessary, still necessary.
Of course.
So
You need a law degree to be a lawyer. We've
Exactly.
established that. You need a medical degree to be a doctor. Of course. Right?
Well, not necessarily.
What? A
There,
medical.
there are people out there who are representing themselves
Oh.
as doctors and who aren't.
Exactly.
And they have a growing
let's say
following.
legally.
So my point is that university degrees are still useful, but for certain fields.
Yeah. And
Oh,
again,
absolutely. Undeniable.
Yeah.
STEM is a perfect example.
Yeah.
Anything that falls under the STEM umbrella,
Exactly.
knock yourself out.
So the rest of the intellectual world just is not of consequence. If it's not STEM, it's not important.
Hang on,
it has
guys.
no value.
No, let's put it a different way. No, wrong. So I don't agree with that either. It's a matter. Listen, different people have different expectations of their lives and how they want to live it. If someone wants to become a history professor or a high school history teacher, or a liberal arts teacher, or wants to be an artist or whatever, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just as long as that person doesn't lament 10 years later, I went to school.
I agree.
I have now
Of course.
a student debt that I have to pay.
You don't become a history teacher by simply having a history undergrad degree.
No, then you get the teaching degree
right.
afterwards.
So I didn't say teaching wasn't a worthwhile pursuit.
Exactly.
But it's the direction.
Most people are not taking those steps. Let's
hang
call
on.
it what it is.
Pat, okay, I'm not arguing with you. All I'm saying is if the measure of success isn't the dollar sign at the end of it for that individual, because there's some people who don't give a shit about how much money they earn or what, they could live in a little 3.5 small apartment and they're okay with that. They don't want more. For those people who are not deceived or feel that there was some deception to their degree in the end, they paid all this money, they got a degree and it was worthless because they thought they were going to get a job. No, if they go into it knowing that this is what I want to do, this is the life I want to pursue, I want to work as a barista, but I want to know more about history because I'm fascinated by it.
I accept that. I only want to ask, do you think that's the mindset of most 18 and 19-year-olds?
Some, yes.
I didn't ask you some. Is that what
There's a good proportion.
Is that the thought process most 18 and 19-year-olds go through?
I've seen.
I'm not saying.
I'm asking him.
Okay,
We
so-
know your idealist answer. I'm asking him.
No, I come from a background of immigrant, needing to work and busting my ass so I can get a job as quickly as I could to earn money. I would think that most people are, You know what? It depends on the wealth of society. When society gets too wealthy, then you're going to have a lot of people who've been raised with money who don't give a shit.
That's not the challenge we have in society today. We have
That's
we
one
have,
of the
we,
society
no,
challenges.
we have a growing disparity between the haves and have-nots.
Right. Okay.
So the problem you're referring to
is for the top,
and it's becoming less and less applicable to the bulk of society.
Okay. In that case, well, I will agree with you that most people will be thinking about career, but they should be going into any of the degrees that they have with the knowledge of, hey, if I'm going to get an art history or whatever art literature, whatever type of degree. Well, my options are limited on the back end of this thing. I can become a teacher, but then I need to get another degree. I can do whatever other job. I can't even.
But that's the value of university education as well, where you have the opportunity to explore, where you have an opportunity to experience different disciplines.
Why don't you just get a job someplace and explore and learn in that
So
job?
don't go to university then. That's another option. Okay, of course.
That's what we're saying.
We have all those options.
So what he's saying is instead of spending 3 years of your life and tens of thousands, if not more, dollars in university fees and having debt and getting a degree that's worthless in order to get a job that's going to pay off that debt, then maybe you do something else.
It's 4 years. With one exception in North America, it's 4 years.
No, it's 3 years for
4
bachelors.
years. 4 years.
No,
engineering is 4 years. Everything else is 3 years.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. It's 3 years.
No.
Yeah, it is.
It's 90
we have
credits.
CJEP.
It's 90 credits, 30 credits a year.
CJEP.
Yes.
So our CJEP is like the year one of a
Yes.
bachelor's.
The second year. So that's why it's 4 years university for an undergrad.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. It's 90 credits. Unless the system changed.
Only in this province that you are raised in is it 3 years.
That's what I'm saying.
That's not what you're saying. You're freaking arguing with me when I'm telling you this is the only jurisdiction where it's 3 years.
Okay.
It's 4 years everywhere else.
Yes.
So it's 4 years of your life.
Yes, but they have grade 12 in
It
high
doesn't
school
matter.
level.
It's 4 years of university.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, but so the point has been made. So what you're saying is then that most young people at 18 and 19 are what? They're not very serious.
Morally bankrupt.
They are more okay, right? They're just floating. They're just floating, and they don't know they don't know what direction to go in. Is that what you're saying?
Did you know what direction to go in when you were 18?
That's true of most 18 and 19-year-olds. Absolutely.
I'll speak to my I had no clue what I was going to do. The only reason I went into engineering is my brother said, you're good in math, do engineering. It'll be good for you.
It is the exceptional 18 or 19-year-old who has a clear vision of where they're going in life.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, and one legitimate solution to that is, as we see in society, is that university education and the opportunity to be exposed to different disciplines gives them some guidance and kind of gives them the sense of direction that they need.
So you think 3 years of pain?
There's a value to that.
This is where I go back to a comment Nuran made earlier, which I think is great advice, by the way. I think you worded it or phrased it along the lines of suggesting to your kids, choose the hardest thing, the most challenging thing. Yeah. And so I would phrase it a little differently, but along the same lines. I'd say keep as many options and doors open as possible.
Exactly.
And in order to do that, you should be pursuing STEM. That keeps doors open.
But not only STEM.
Because the moment you don't, it closes doors and limits your opportunities.
Okay.
So I know with my kids, for instance, what I suggested, can't enforce it, but I suggested is take math and or sciences until at least what we call CEGEP, so the college level, right? I know you don't like it. I know you find it difficult, but take it because it's going to keep doors open.
Yeah.
When you reach the point of applying for university, if you know what you want to pursue, knock yourselves out. Go for it.
That's good advice.
Right? And choose something that you feel passionate about. Why? Because even if the employment opportunities aren't great, if you're passionate about it, you'll probably excel at it, and you may be one of the few who
does that
has an
apply?
opportunity.
Does that apply to the history degree?
No. So let me finish.
Okay.
I said there are certain disciplines, if you tell me you want to pursue a university education for, I'm going to discourage you. And I'm going to suggest you take a different path. Because you're going to be wasting your time and wasting my money pursuing an education in this particular field.
That's a tough discussion to have with a kid, by the way.
Absolutely.
That is super hard.
Absolutely.
And see, I never wanted to go there I didn't want to go there because that's being prescriptive. And when you do that with kids of that age, they want to push back and they want to go the opposite direction.
So I'll tell you what. So I'll give you an example.
Just from a psychological
with
perspective.
with one of my kids, I had pushback at the CEGEP college level. Why do I need to take math? I know for certain I'm not going to say. I say, you know what? You're 17 years old. You think you know everything. So I'm okay with you enrolling in this program as long as you take the one with the math option. Mm-hmm. That's it. End of conversation. She wasn't happy, but she understood that in order to pursue what she wanted, it had to be with the math option, just to keep the doors open. When she completed that program successfully and said, now I want to pursue communication studies, I said, knock yourself out, go for it. Now, if she had told me I want to become an English lit major, I said, whoa, wait a second, right? And not because I don't think there's value in English literature, but there's no employment value. You don't need to go to university to learn about English literature anymore. Certainly not when she was old enough to attend university.
Yeah. So again, you're looking at it as a gateway to a job, and if you're looking for it as a gateway to a job, then that's the best way to look at it. I agree. It's more.
He's looking at it as a gateway to opportunities.
Yes.
So the most opportunities.
So look, the bottom line is she pursued communication studies, and upon graduating, became an entrepreneur. So you say, oh, she's a business person. No, she's not a business person.
No, absolutely.
She decided that she wanted to pursue a path where she didn't have to report to anyone. Yeah. Right? Because of a sour taste that was left in her mouth doing part-time jobs. And she wanted to be master of her own destiny.
Okay,
so you know what? I support that 100%.
Okay, so to your point, that's right. So you're coming to this from a very reasonable standpoint. Here, STEM, have a piece of STEM in your university training so that you can optimize the opportunities that you have. That's very good advice. I'm not arguing with that. But I'm saying even people, who don't have that STEM piece, it's possible for them to have successful careers and to do meaningful work in society.
Of course. It's just that it becomes more difficult. That's all, because it closes doors, to his point. And I have, by the way, the closing doors argument, I also use that analogy with my kids. That was the other thing. So do the hardest thing and keep all the doors open as long as you can across the widest range of disciplines. Because I told them as well, I said, guys, when I was your age, I really didn't know what to do for the rest of my life. There's no way you know what you want to do for the rest of your life. It's highly exceptional for anyone to say, I want to do this. Did you know you wanted to be an accountant when you were 17 or 18 years old?
I gotta be honest, yeah.
You're asking the wrong person.
So you're exceptional.
But in that case, it's because it was a simple.
It was a rational
decision because we're not wealthy, so I needed something. Start generating income as soon as possible.
Perfect. So you made that calculus in your head and you said, okay, well, for me, this is the path that I want to follow. Yeah. But you're one of the exceptional ones. When I was that age, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just took the advice of my brother, my older brother at the time, who said, because you can handle the math, just take engineering. And I did it. If I didn't have that advice, I didn't know what I was going to do.
Yeah, but that's normal in my case.
Right?
I'm not an exception, just that my situation.
No, but you're exceptional in the sense that...
It is exceptional. Listen, the number of people, if you reflect back on people you went to school with, people you've worked with over the years, the number of individuals who knew for certain at 16 or 17 or 18 years old what career path they were going to pursue, they are in the minority. Yeah. In the minority. It's a very, very small percentage of people who actually pursued that path.
Never given any thought, but possibly,
very small.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it didn't occur to me. And that's what I told my kids as well. It's like, chances are you really don't know exactly what you want to do. So do the hardest thing that you're capable of. If you're intellectually capable of getting an engineering degree or any type of STEM degree or anything that's hard to do it. Because if you're intellectually capable of doing it, well, then why not? Why wouldn't you do it?
So to go back to you, the advice that you would give to your children if they were interested in the vocations. So do you see some STEM in vocations or
no? Well, not some STEM. You can't become an electrician without understanding some basic concepts that have their roots in physics. Right.
So would you still discourage them if they wanted to go?
Why would I discourage them? That's not a university education.
No, it's not a university education. But is it an education? It's an education that has a good employment potential. So you would support it.
100%. The only thing I'm not for, just to be crystal clear, is young people choosing a path through university that isn't going to lead to anything tangible at the back end. That's the only thing I'm opposed to.
Okay, so there are. I guess what I'm saying is I'm more open-minded, and I'm saying that there are tangible possibilities, even if you choose a liberal arts path.
Yes.
And those tangible
You have to build
responsibilities,
on them.
you build on them, because if you are, if it's not just about being an expert in history. It's about being a critical thinker. It's about being able to work with people and be a team leader and be a part of a productive part of a team. Those are values. I mean, I used to hear and we hear a lot of pushback on MBAs from a lot of high-placed business quarters about how limited they are, how they are one-dimensional. And they're not, they don't understand leadership. They don't understand communication.
You can't
they don't
teach
understand
leadership, by the way.
Yeah, you don't understand team chemistry.
You're born with that.
Wait a second. Wait a second.
You don't understand
So you
resourcefulness.
hear that about MBAs, but not about history majors.
Sure, about history majors as
Okay.
well. I'm sure.
So that's
I'm saying it's not-
that's a
formula's
reflection
not
of
easy.
society. That's a reflection of society.
The formulas are not easy here.
If I'm
Okay,
allowed,
so
The difference is an MBA is going to be highly employable, even in this day and age, as opposed to someone who has a history undergrad degree.
Yes, of course. Well, yeah, an MBA compared to any undergraduate degree, there's no comparison. You can't compare a
Well,
graduate
no,
degree.
somebody who's pursued an MBA without ever entering the workforce, which is still feasible from what I understand,
That's different.
to me is a terrible path to follow.
I agree.
agree. So, guys, we all have university degrees. If you could go back, would you do the same one?
Yes.
Wait a second. If we can go back, given our life history, or if we were to enter university today with
Well,
an eye to the future?
Given your life history.
Oh, even if we were entering to Pat's suggestion, if entering university today, absolutely, I would be even more committed and more motivated to do a political science degree.
Okay.
how about you, Pat?
If I had to do it all over again, would I do it the same way? The answer is yes. If I were to make the decision today, I don't think so. But I haven't thought long or hard enough about what path I would want to pursue. I have many, many interests, as you know.
Yeah.
And so to me, there are even greater opportunities today than when I entered school. And so I would salivate at the prospect today of choosing a path. I would still have an opportunity to exercise my curiosity, my intellectual curiosity, and learn about a myriad things. But in terms of the career path I would choose, and that's one of the reasons why I would attend university, I would say I'm undecided today, but it's unlikely that I would do what I did, back in the early 1980s.
What is your undergraduate degree?
Business.
Okay.
So I would.
Not management, business?
Well,
No,
you have an MBA though, don't you?
Yeah.
I don't have an MBA. I pursued, so after
You have a certificate from.
years after completing my bachelor's in business and having work experience, I attended the executive program at Western, which has since become Richard Ivey. And then I attended a couple of leadership development programs at Harvard and the London Business School.
Okay. Well, that's it. Your employer basically said, okay, get some papers.
I was very fortunate. My employer included me in a list of 50 people globally that they wanted to.
So your initial degree is a certificate or was it an undergraduate degree?
No, it's a bachelor's.
Bachelor's, okay.
Yeah. So for me, I would definitely do the same thing. I might do computer engineering because back then there was only electrical. Computer was PCs were just coming out as I was graduating back in the day. Because I would have liked to do more coding, which my older son is doing now because he's doing computer engineering. I would have liked to have learned more coding. The only thing I would say to do differently would be I did my MBA part time. Took me 7 years. It killed me, but I did it. What I would have potentially done had I not been married and had a kid and had all the financial responsibilities, would have been nice knowing what I know now to go more into an investment banking type of environment. Just because I think that would have been a lot of fun. I enjoyed accounting actually in my MBA. I enjoy looking through the books, the notes, all of that stuff. Gleaning from the numbers, the potential for
The accounting
business.
or finance appealed to you?
Both.
Okay.
Both.
Interesting.
So also some of the macroeconomic stuff as well. Monetary policy, all of that stuff. So all of that all together, I would have liked to dig into that much more than I did just to get an MBA and then not really use it all that much afterwards. And I used a little bit of it here and there. Accounting was very, very helpful, to be honest, there with the annual reports and stuff. Yeah. But that's what I would do.
Okay. Well, in that case, I think I let myself be guided by the fact that I needed a job, needed income. Would I do the same thing? No. I'm a very good accountant, but I don't enjoy it.
You don't?
First time I'm hearing this. This is
Yeah,
really
I don't.
a revelation.
Because it doesn't let me use my imagination.
Wow.
So what path would you pursue today?
Probably law.
Well, you could use your imagination in accounting, but you'd be in jail.
When they talk about creative accounting, it's bullshit. All it is stupid readers of financial statements. That's all it is. No, seriously. And I would probably pursue either law or computer engineering. But at the time, I did take computer courses at university, but it wasn't a thing.
Yeah, it was Fortran and COBOL back then.
Yeah, that's it. So
Punch cards.
yeah,
I
but,
did punch cards too. Yeah.
So today I
Crazy.
realized that ambition just to get a job, get income,
So you touch on something that's always been very important to me, and I think because it was a product of my upbringing, and which I tried, and I will say with limited success, encouraging with my own children, and that is try to identify a passion, or at the very least something that's of great interest to you that you enjoy, and pursue that with fervor. So
That's so hard to do.
I feel very blessed that for the vast majority of my working life, every morning I woke up, I felt like the luckiest guy on the planet because I was going to do exactly, given options to do whatever I wanted, I would be doing what I wanted to do. Right? I felt very fortunate.
that's good.
And that's because I grew up in a household where both my parents were passionate about their work. My dad was a chemist. My mother was a social worker. And they just absolutely loved what they did for a living. And so it's interesting because my brother did not attend university. School was just not for him, to a point you made earlier. And he dabbled in a couple of different things and finally gravitated to his passion, which is automobiles. And he has spent the bulk of his adult life working with automobiles. And he loves it. And I feel very fortunate to have done the same. I tried to instill that in my kids, which was find your passion. Try and identify something you thoroughly enjoy and do your best at it.
But you want a STEM piece.
And you'll be successful.
You want them to have a STEM piece.
I think you're misunderstanding what I said.
Okay.
As my kids were growing up and going through school, I insisted, even though it was evident from a fairly early age, so I'll say high school age, that they weren't all that interested in science and math.
Right.
My point was, for sure through high school, you have to take sciences. And after high school, we call it cégep, call it college. When you enter college, until you reach the university level, you have to take, at a minimum, math. And if there's science available, you may want to choose to do so, although I didn't insist on it. So the math element was a mandatory in my view. So you may take a program that's not rooted in STEM, but you have to take a math option with that program. And then by the time you enter university, I'm happy that you've achieved that. Just follow the passion.
Okay.
Do what you most enjoy. With the understanding that if you tell me I want to get an English Lit degree or a history degree, I'm going to say, you know what? There's no point going to university because that's not, unless there's something beyond that. To your point, like, I want to be a lawyer, but I want to get this grounding. That's not the conversation. For most people, it's, oh, I'm going to get an art degree. Why? Because I want to get a university degree. Well, you're not thinking clearly about the path you're about to embark on.
You're wasting money.
Okay, so
and time.
So university fine arts and university history programs
Are a scam.
You don't think there's any value to
Are a scam. They're a scam.
If that's all you're going to do, I don't see value. So you know what? I'm like, for me, it has no value. If my kids had wanted to follow that path, I would have said, that has no value. Why go to university?
And how much do they charge, especially in the States?
Well,
right?
Okay.
So how much are you in debt after 3 years or 4 years
Right.
of that university?
Right, but that is an unfair and an excessive model. Where
but it's a
people are-
model where 330 million people are living it day in and day out,
Well, I
and
know,
people make
I know,
these
but
decisions.
that's not the right way to treat
Okay, guys,
higher
not
education.
all universities are that way. Not all colleges are that way in
Right.
the States. I don't think that's an unfair characterization.
Yeah, there's state colleges as well that are less
Right.
expensive, and so on and so forth.
Correct.
So fair enough.
Correct.
But the point is, you're still spending money, even in Canada, when it's like 10 or 15
Okay.
or 20,000 a year.
But when you sit down,
actually 5 or
okay,
10,000
okay.
a
So
year.
when you ask, and when you sit down, when you have conversations, with the history undergraduate student, when you have conversations with the fine arts undergraduate student. Those conversations, they are significant conversations. You are sitting down before somebody who is thoughtful, who is learning
But you're
new ways of
generalizing.
thinking.
No.
Aki, you're generalizing.
But so you cannot argue that all these university programs have absolutely no value. This is what
We're
you're
not saying that they're.
Well, I
no.
think Pat is very close
No,
to saying that.
He's just saying that if
I'm
in
saying-
and of itself, it's not going to lead to an opportunity.
It's going to be a
for
harder path.
employment.
It's going to be a harder path, but it does go to proper development of your intellect.
The young people I know today who have obtained an undergrad in the arts and in areas such as history, not to single out history, but I'll use it as an example, are not particularly thoughtful people, intelligent, well-rounded people, and their parents would tell you today what an absolute waste of time and money for them to have pursued that degree. They're working in a restaurant, they're working in a bicycle shop, they're working in areas where if they had not attended university, they would be doing just as well as they're doing.
They're blocking streets.
Okay, but guys, of course, but that's also, it's very much dependent on the person.
Well, I'm talking about in
that's
general
his
terms.
point too.
That's the majority of the people who have undergrads, as opposed to the exceptional one who happens to be an
not the majority.
unbelievably thoughtful individual who used this as a stepping stone towards some other pursuit.
Not the majority by any stretch of the imagination. When I look at the type of profiles of people that I've worked with and people that I've hired who have come from the arts, who have come from social work programs, who have done psychology programs. Those are people that were very capable people.
But Aki, okay, so social work, political science.
STEM.
No. Social work is not STEM. Social work.
It's an arts
You
degree.
can argue social work has
Exactly.
a connection to science.
It has
Yes.
a connection. And by the way, if somebody tells me I'm pursuing social work,
There's nothing wrong with that.
100% fantastic. You're going to be employable. There's a need for it in society.
Right.
You can use some other examples.
Right.
And it comes
English
out of the arts.
literature is different than
English
social
literature,
program.
history. It's not employable.
Right.
And by the way, psychology. I mean, if you're serious about psychology, everyone today will tell you. Then your undergrad is a step towards. You have to get a PhD
Yes.
if you want to work in
Yes.
psychology.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I would say any discipline where you get a doctorate,
Yeah.
including some of the ones I mentioned earlier, you are going to be employable. You're going to teach university.
You're going to teach, exactly.
But most people are not pursuing
Right.
that. So when you have an undergrad in psychology,
Yeah,
I'm not going to say it's worthless.
I just said
but it ain't worth a whole lot today. Okay.
So this is we have two different worldviews here. I mean, I see the graduates from these programs who are very capable, very reliable, and a pleasure to work with and a pleasure to get to know. Your experience is different with some of the people that are coming out of these programs.
Totally different. Now, again, I have met people along the way who did an undergrad in psychology, then pursued an MBA, and they're working as very successful human resource professionals. You know what? Makes perfect sense to me.
There you go.
But if you're going to graduate from university with a bachelor's in psychology, you're not going to work in psychology.
You are now.
No.
No, you're
There's
not.
a lot of not as a member of the professional order, but there is a lot of there's a need for trained people in psychology. Maybe not at the PhD level, but you do need in
Most
schools.
people with a bachelor's in psychology are not working in psychology today.
Because bachelor's degrees, they're very
working-
fundamental. I mean, it's
They're working social work.
They're working in social. They're working in other related fields. They're working in criminology and so forth. So there are there's value to that. But yes, not as a member of the professional order, for sure.
So guys, if we can step back and kind of maybe wrap it up for everyone in our minds. First of all, do we all agree that a university degree is worthwhile, or do we have the caveats that say, well, university degrees should be for future job employment opportunities, and in that case, only some degrees are better than others.
So university degrees have value, but it's not the be all and end all that it was a generation ago.
And I will say some university degrees have value. In answer to your question, it really depends on what the individual intends on getting out of the university experience.
Okay.
So if going in, and I understand, I'm the first to agree that at 18, 19 years old, you don't have a clear idea of what you want to do with your entire life or for your entire life. But you should have some idea of what you hope to achieve or experience during the course of your 4-year undergrad degree. And then, yeah, it may be a very worthwhile pursuit, but it may not be. And in those cases, you may want to consider a vocational angle, because there are some great opportunities there. Or you may want to defer making a decision on university. Go work for a year or two, gain some experience, and then decide what you want to do.
Absolutely.
That's what I would suggest.
Yep. Good.
I think a university degree is worthwhile if it leads to opportunities for you to be a good contributing member of society.
Well said.
I think this is an important conversation. I'd really like to hear from our viewers. I'm sure people, have experienced this and have been through the universities and the vocational training, and there's a lot more that we need to uncover here.
Yeah. My final thought, quite frankly, is this idea, and we grew up. I understand all of us grew up with immigrant parents who either did or didn't have educations, but stressed the importance of getting a university education.
Yep.
What I want to say, and this is my opinion, you don't need a university education today. It's not necessary. It's not for everyone.
No.
And that's okay. And we should all be okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
As Aki suggested, please provide some comments and feedback. We'd love to hear from you.
Let us know
And
how
we'll see you
full of
next
shit
week.
we are.
Well, maybe not.
Bye, guys.
See you next week.